Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're deconstructing a 50-second suspense script to figure out exactly how it creates an absolutely perfect psychological nightmare. We're looking at this brilliantly crafted micro short called The Notification. It's incredibly brief, literally under a minute long, but in that tiny window, it manages to establish a scene, build an unbearable amount of tension, and deliver a completely terrifying payoff. So we're going to break down the anatomy of this scare step by step. We'll use the script's exact cues and production notes to see exactly how this magic trick is actually pulled off.
To really get why this works so incredibly well, I need you to put yourself right in the shoes of our protagonist, Alex. Alex is in their 20s, and they're doing exactly what you or I do at the end of a super long day, just trying to unwind. Picture it, you're up late, lying in a dimly lit bedroom, lights totally off. The only illumination in the entire room is that harsh, cold blue glow of your smartphone screen. You're just mindlessly scrolling. You're relaxed, you're safe. So what turns this incredibly common, everyday scenario into a visceral, heart-pounding psychological nightmare? Well, it's all about how the script weaponizes our own daily habits against us.
Part 1. The Relatable Setup. Now we're entering the very first phase of our chronological tension curve. Notice how the script begins by forcing this very relaxed, almost hypnotic rhythm. We're settling into the quiet comfort of the night, establishing a baseline of just total normality. Because really, you cannot have a great jump scare without first making the audience feel completely comfortable and secure. But look at the incredibly fast escalation here. We go from a boring night to total terror in literally seconds. From 0 to 15 seconds, it's just calm, mindless scrolling. Then, bam, right at the 15-second mark, the first camera alert hits. Suddenly, the whole vibe shifts. We're thrown into the build-up phase. And then, at exactly 35 seconds, we hit the terrifying twist. It takes a mere 35 seconds to go from complete safety to a desperate fight-or-flight response. The efficiency of that structure is just phenomenal.
And this brilliantly illustrates the script's heavy reliance on sensory emphasis. Think about the audio cues for a second. For those first 15 seconds, we're entirely lulled into a false sense of security by these soft, ambient night sounds. The script specifically calls for a distant cricket, some faint wind, and that rhythmic, hypnotic sound of the screen scrolling. It's almost like a lullaby, right? But then, that tranquility is violently shattered by a sudden, sharp ding. It's a distinct smart home security notification ring. It's a sound we all instantly recognize, and in the dead of night, it just completely jolts your nervous system.
Moving on to Part 2, Escalating the Suspense.
Okay, so now we shift right into the build-up phase. The comfortable scrolling is done, Alex blinks, stops scrolling, and taps the notification banner. Cut to a close-up of a live feed labeled Living Room Camera. Now, the living room is pitch black, it's empty, and it's quiet. Alex sees this empty room and just mutters, "Glitchy piece of junk." This is such a smart writing choice. This highly relatable, frustrated muttering establishes a completely false sense of security. Alex assumes it's just a tech error. We, the audience, assume it's just a tech error. It essentially allows everyone to lower their guard just a tiny bit, right before the script rips the rug out from under us again.
Notice how the tension builds here through pure geographic progression. The unseen threat is literally creeping closer and closer to Alex with every single notification. Step 1 is the living room, which is far away and totally empty. Step 2 is the hallway. The script describes this camera feed as a long, narrow shot leading directly to Alex's bedroom door. And then, inevitably, Step 3, the bedroom itself. By moving these notifications closer, step by step, room by room, the script creates this unbearable, suffocating sense of anticipation.
So Alex tries to just swipe the app closed, but a new notification pops up. Person detected in hallway. Alex freezes. Their eyes widen up. They tap the notification and we see that long, empty hallway. But I really want to point out the brilliant audio choice the script makes right at this moment. Exactly here. All of those ambient night sounds, the crickets, the wind, they drop out completely. Total, dead silence. The only sound left in the entire audio mix is the heavy, sudden sound of Alex swallowing hard. That absolute silence makes the tension completely deafening. Which brings us to Part 3, the ultimate jump scare. We've officially reached the climax. The hallway camera feed was completely still. No one was there. So Alex lets out a huge sigh of relief, naturally assuming it was just another false alarm, just another glitch in the app. They start to lower the phone. The danger has obviously passed. But then, ding, one final notification lights up the screen. Person detected in bedroom. Just imagine the visceral horror of that final alert popping up right at the exact moment you finally let your guard down. That emotional whiplash from relief to absolute paralyzing fear is exactly what makes this twist so incredibly devastating. Alex just freezes mid-motion.
Let's break down this rapid-fire climax. First, the phone screen reflects in Alex's wide, terrified eyes. Then, the camera slowly tilts up. Right behind Alex's head, deep in the dark space between the mattress and the wall, two pale, wide eyes open in the shadows. A pale hand slowly reaches up and wraps its fingers right around Alex's shoulder. And then boom, a sudden sharp, distorted audio screech cuts the scene to absolute black. You can practically feel the intense, sudden shock of that monster's reveal. It is textbook, a flawless jump scare execution.
All right, let's flip the lights back on for Part 4, Production Tips for Creators.
So, if you're looking to actually film something this effective yourself, the absolutely crucial point is pacing. The script's notes emphasize that you must not rush that initial scrolling at the beginning of the short film. The stark contrast between a boring, completely normal night and the sudden, jarring panic of the notification is exactly what makes the scare hit so incredibly hard. If you start building the tension too early, the audience gets exhausted. You literally have to earn the panic by first establishing that boring baseline.
You absolutely do not need some massive Hollywood budget to pull this off. You really just need this basic toolkit. First, lighting. Keep the room as dark as possible and just use the phone screen as your primary light source. This naturally creates these awesome high-contrast creepy shadows on the actor's face. Second, pacing. Like we just talked about. Draw out that mundane setup. Let it breathe. And third, the ending. What if you're shooting solo and don't have a friend to play the monster with the pale hands? Well, the notes offer a brilliant workaround for that. Just replace the hand on the shoulder with a terrifying, dark silhouette standing right over the bed when the phone screen illuminates the room. It is incredibly scary and honestly, way easier to shoot.
Which brings us to our final thought. Armed with these practical techniques and the anatomy of a perfect 50-second scare, how would you film the monster or tweak the ending using your own home layout? Seriously, look around the room you're in right now. Where are the shadows? Where would those camera feeds be pointed? The whole beauty of The Notification is that it takes the safest place in the world and turns it into a playground for suspense. I highly encourage you to grab your phone, look at the dark corners of your room, and start planning your own viral jump scare tonight.